What's good, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Goats of Growth. Today, I have a repeat guest. This will actually be his third time on, Steve Travaglini, a fellow Boston go-to-market leader, now founder. If you haven't heard the previous episodes, Steve was the CRO of a company by the name of Link Squares, where he helped them scale from 500,000 to 50 million in ARR, and then went on to start his own company, which you'll hear if you go back and listen to episode 195 of this, back in January 13th of this year, 2025. You will hear how he basically went from 0 to 1 and all of the call it sausage making and soup that comes along with sort of getting to that point. I wanted to have him back on to see where he is now in the business, and also because he has a new website that he is going to be launching soon. So, Steve, welcome back to the Goats of Growth.
So three-peat, Jay. I'm excited.
That's well. I think you got to pay for that. I think Pat Riley has those rights. So. Might have to edit that out. That might be a very expensive comment there.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to be back. Thanks for having me.
So tell me, tell the audience, frankly, who haven't heard your backstory in episode number 195, a little bit about you and WinRate, and then we'll jump into present day.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm a seller through and through. I actually started in recruiting, funny enough. So I was in staffing back in the day, made the transition into tech sales. I was a BDR, then account executive, sales manager, director, VP, and then, as you pointed out, most recently CRO of Link Squares, from 500K to 50 million in annual recurring revenue. And that was 90% outbound. So I'm a salesperson, and for the first time in my career, I am both building my own company, but also building it for salespeople. So that takes us to present day, which is WinRate. And WinRate is an AI platform that is meant to put the human at the center of sales, helping to do research and prep to allow sellers to do their best work, spending far less time tracking down every little piece of information and surfacing it up for them. So that's what we're doing today.
Thanks for that summary and that recap. Well, last time we spoke, you talked about beta users that you had, and you defined what beta is, and some folks might even say that some MVP products are in alpha and so forth. But you had 48 beta users. Tell me, are you still in beta? And if so, how many beta users do you still have? If you're out of beta, how many users do you have now?
Yeah, so I think we peaked at somewhere between 100 and 200 beta users, testers. And these were friendlies, former colleagues, coworkers, but also just a ton of people that we didn't know whatsoever that we met for the first time through this program. And we opened up our first product to that community in January. And that product was meeting prep. So basically connecting your CRM, connecting your call transcripts, connecting your email history, as well as several databases across the internet, and web scrapers for browsing the internet, generally speaking. And based on your calendar with external attendee calendar events that you have, we would kick off a highly customized research following each user's bespoke requirements. So that's where we started. We learned a ton. We've launched a few new products since, but yeah, it's been a wild ride.
New products. Okay, you've got my ear peaked, or ears. Tell me what a little bit about those new products that you launched.
Yeah, so starting with meeting prep was interesting. We built this powerful research layer that plugs into all those data sources that I just mentioned, and it seemed that the most obvious and lowest hanging fruit action, if you will, to take with that research engine would be this meeting prep. I personally believe in what I call high to low sales, which is high effort up front, high effort in your research, leads to high impact discovery questions, which leads to high value. So if you do all this high effort stuff up front, it leads to low effort on the close. And as a CRO and as a seller, I was oftentimes seeing reps scrambling to prep for meetings and to do it at a consistent, high quality level. So we were like, hey, we have this great product. Let's build it to address this narrow use case of meeting prep. And we did that. And there were many things that we learned through that process to make it better, and we're still making it better. But one of the biggest pieces of feedback that we heard from folks was like, this is great. I really like this. I love how custom you make it so that I'm getting meeting prep that feels like it was built for my company, for my sale, the things that I specifically look for across the web. And I love how you're incorporating my prior call transcripts in this here. This is great. But I want to use the same type of technology for all accounts that I'm interested, for all prospects, not just the ones that I already have in my funnel where I already have meetings. I want you to help me get meetings for this type of information. Today, I can only use WinRate, or this was back in January, people would say to us, I can only use WinRate for meeting prep. I want to use it for top of funnel. So that led us to launching what we call accounts, which is taking that same deep research engine that is custom built for every company and now using it to help teams build more pipeline. So target the right companies, look for the right signals that allow you to deliver the right message at the right time so that you can build pipe, get the first meeting. And then from that first meeting forward, we use meeting prep to help continuously reinforce those quality preparation first principles to drive a great sales process. And then we have one other tool, but I'll pause there.
Well, that's what I was going to ask: is what's the other tool, or is the other tool not out there yet for consumption?
No, it's out there. It's out there for consumption. We have a bunch of our customers already using it, and that's what we call the material builder. So once we launched accounts, we had folks using WinRate's research engine to find their ideal customer profile accounts, deeply research them for the custom insights and signals that they need to then message them appropriately, generate interest, and build pipeline. Then we're doing meeting prep for each stage of the sales cycle. Top of the funnel, first stage, like discovery, it's very much external research. As deals progress, you start to look more inward at like your past calls and transcripts and things like that. Then we started to hear from enterprise sellers using our product. This is great. I love that I can use it for top of funnel. I love that I can use it for meeting prep. But I also want to use this engine for a third use case, which is building out my sales materials. I'm constantly doing this business proposal. It's templated. It's always kind of the same stuff, but I have to go find it in my prior calls. I have to, spend time like painstakingly like writing it out, or like it's a customer success handoff document, and it's meticulous and I'm doing this all the time for all my net new accounts, and I would love it if you can make that easier, right? And those are just two like generic examples, but really any sales collateral that helps with the sales process, helps move things along, helps increase your probability of winning, but also in the case of customer success, helps set up the customer lifecycle for success. Any of these like high impact sales collateral pieces, I want to use WinRate to populate a first draft, decrease my time to action, and have it all be like in the same place that I'm doing work. So I don't have to like manually upload transcripts and do all these other workaround pieces. Sometimes I want it to be like an every time type of thing so that my collateral starts to automatically update itself as my deals progress. So that was the most recent product that we launched called the Material Builder.
How do you prioritize? Obviously, you have limited resources, you have limited time. You're talking to, I think you said, up to 200 beta users or so, and you're getting feedback from everybody, right? You're getting feedback or from a lot of people, and presumably the products that you've built, that you just mentioned, Material Builder and Accounts, not presumably, you just said it came from the feedback that you had
Yep. Yep.
from users. There's a lot that was left on the cutting room floor, so to speak. I'm assuming people who, gee, I would like to do this. Gee, I would like to do this. Can't you do this? I wish one of the. So how do you start to prioritize that?
Yeah, so there's two main ways that we prioritize it. Number one is like, where's this feedback coming from? Is it coming from a customer or someone that just has like cool ideas? Number two, because if someone's paying, right, or if someone's willing to pay for something, we take that feedback much more seriously than just anybody.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have a lot of cool ideas. Few people are willing to pay for them. So that's lens number one. And lens number two is like, is this in line with the vision that we have for the product and the direction that we're going in? Is it iterative in nature, or is it like a total left-hand turn away from what we're currently doing? All three of these products sound very different. Meeting prep, accounts, material builder, they all have the same technical underpinnings, an advanced RAG system that is integrated deeply into internal systems as well as the internet and several deterministic data sources like databases, and it's just different packaging of a similar type of underlying system. So for us, it made a lot of sense. It was going to add a lot more value. Feedback's coming from paying customers. Feedback isn't a hard left turn. It's iterative on what we're already doing,
Mm-hmm.
and opens up our product to a whole bunch of new potential users and stakeholders.
Have you, given that, have you shifted or focused more on a particular ICP, or are you still with the same in terms of? I'll even say like in terms of size companies, right? SMB, mid market, enterprise. Like define for me where you were and if you're still there.
Yeah, it's a great question. So we're still figuring that out, but we're having a significant amount of success with enterprise sales organizations with 10 or more sellers on their team. We're working with several companies that are above 100 million in annual recurring revenue with full team deployments for WinRate. But we also have a healthy number of customers who are in that like 5 to 10 rep range. So we're not necessarily turning folks away, but we're spending a significant amount of our energy and focus on that like 10 plus sales team segment. Yeah.
Is that where you're winning, or where are you winning most? Right. Speaking of win rate, where's the highest win rate coming from in terms of size sales teams? If you would,
Yeah. So it's 10 sales reps. It's 10 sales reps and above, and it's teams that have uh, a couple things happening. So if you're doing a sale where you're focused on both internal data and external data and some sales methodology, and you're trying to pull all three of those together to help reinforce like an existing sales methodology or framework that you're invested in, we fit in really well there. So one of our customers is using command of the message by force management, and they made a significant investment there. And they're trying to train their teams and get everybody bought in. And that whole framework, as many frameworks are, is focused on quality, right? It's focused on the same principles that I deeply believe in. And when you have something like that that's relatively new, making it easier as a leader is like a top priority, and then driving adoption of those new frameworks is a top priority. So in that type of scenario, we can really understand deeply what a company does, what is their value proposition. We have a knowledge base where we ingest in customer lists, and we ingest in tons of data, case studies, you name it. So that training materials, sales training materials, and in this case, like a value framework. So if you're doing this command of the message, there's like this 100-page document called a value framework. And we ingest that into our system, so our agents are working with it. So not only are they researching like your ICP, but they're looking for important pieces of information that signal that someone has a pain that you solve for. And then we combine what we're finding, sourced like links from the internet that say, oh, look at this article where they talk about that, they had this big acquisition or this data breach happened or whatever it might be. And then it's pulling it back together. And we're also combining that with the knowledge base of like, okay, well, how does this fit? Right. So we're taking our findings with research and we're combining it for that account to say, like, here's like value driver that it aligns with from your sales methodology. And here's how you could position discovery questions for that specific value framework, like value driver, and tying it directly to the internet research. So we're taking it a step further than just saying like, hey, here's information that's important. We're combining it with your internal sales methodology to say, hey, like, here's why it matters, right? And that is quite unique.
Who's that message resonating with mostly? In other words, are you going in and finding more traction with sales enablement, rev ops? Is it sales leaders with a team
It's
of
a
10? Like,
it's a partnership. So most of the time we're starting our conversations with like the VP of sales or CRO or someone like that, or
yep.
director of sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then once we talk to them about what we're doing, we show them examples of how we're doing it. We spin up a custom environment for every company that we talk to. It's a very interactive like first call. So we'll show you what it would look like for your business as like a V1 rough draft.
Mm-hmm.
From there, our sales process that's been unfolding is like, okay, this is great. Now we need to build internal consensus. Let me pull in RevOps. Let me pull in our enablement team. And then that's really where like the magic starts to happen. And we go from, hey, it's like sales leader to sales leader where people are like, yeah, I totally get it. I want us to be focused on this. Like, this isn't just another automation tool. Like, this is something that our team can use. This isn't like some complex workflow builder that has to be run by, a GTM engineer. Like, this is built for us. And it's like, yes, it's built for you. And then I talk to RevOps, I talk to enablement, and I figure out like, what are the big projects going on inside of the business that we can hook this onto. And that's where the magic's been happening for us.
I'm assuming at some point security comes in. I know the last time you and I spoke, we talked about you were getting your you weren't approved, I don't think, on Google, as a Google web app, if you will, and you're going
Yeah.
through SOC 2 compliance.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Yeah. So when we last spoke, we didn't even have an official like Google approved app. So we're like
Right.
plugging into the calendar, and it's like big letters on the screen. It's like warning. And I had a few people freak out. They're like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you thought this would be. We've been around for a few months. Since then, we've been approved, obviously, for Google and Microsoft and many others, but and we've built out many integrations, HubSpot, Salesforce, you name it. But we've also gone through the full SOC 2 Type 2 process. So we successfully passed our audit. We have a clean audit report. So that's essential when you're working with 9-figure revenue businesses and beyond, right? We wouldn't have been able to land our enterprise customers did we not have a mature security posture. So that's something that we're proud of.
Was that a painful, sort of laborious experience to go through to get SOC 2 compliant, or was it? I mean, tell me, like on a scale of 1 to 10, tell me about the complexity and the stress.
I would say it was probably like a 4 or 5. It's just like a rock in your shoe. It's inconvenience. Like, you wish it wasn't there. Wish you didn't have to do it, but you're doing it for the right reason or whatever. So you just keep running. I knew being an enterprise seller now for years and years how important it would be to invest in that.
Yep.
And it was like a delayed gratification thing. So like it was like putting the time in at the gym. Like, we had to go and do it. But yeah, these days it's not so bad, right? Versus if you were doing this 10 years ago, getting your SOC 2 Type 2 was like a huge thing. We used Vanta. We retained like a managed service group to help us run the process, and we had to do all the work at the end of the day. But we were coached well and managed by those two groups more or less. So it wasn't too bad.
Got it. Something we didn't talk about last time, which what you just said sort of brings me back to it a little bit, is fundraising and also how much it costs to get the first version of the product out. And the reason I bring that up, you mentioned something that we needed to invest in. You mentioned Vanta, and then having an MSP provider. All those things I hear cost obviously money, right?
Yep.
Um, so fundraising.
Yeah.
Tell me about that process. I know obviously York IE really invested in you early, more so on
Yep.
the call it the resources and people side to leverage what they had. Obviously, they took a piece of equity, piece of the business. Tell me more about the fundraising and what that entailed.
Yeah, so rewinding prior to WinRate, I was intimately involved in like every stage of the $161 million that we raised at Link Squares during the growth at all costs era,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it was obviously a very different time to raise capital then than in today's environment. But during those fundraisers, there was one thing that I could always point at, which was results. uh, 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 we had a mountain of empirical evidence that we were some of the absolute best operators when it came to revenue and go to market at Link Squares. That was undisputable. We were, in fact, very, very good, very data driven, an incredibly mature revenue organization at every stage. We were, 2 stages up on the maturity spectrum. So then I come into WinRate where we didn't really have the product built. We didn't really have the team. We had an idea of the impact that we wanted to have and how we were going to do it, but we didn't have it fully, baked or fully fledged out. And we were trying to fundraise. And we got in front of a lot of people. More than we probably should have for the stage that we were at. But we had a big vision and we had high conviction in the value that we could provide to sales teams and our ability to execute. York saw that where other people didn't, and I don't, say that as if anybody missed anything. We didn't have a product. We didn't have a team. We were super early. So it really was just truly a founder bet by Kyle York and Marshall in that gang. But we've done really well since then. And we're not going to raise capital. We don't need to raise capital right away. And we're currently getting back into like my zone of comfort, which is results, and being able to have that and show that and operate from that position of strength versus just merely the vision.
A couple of follow up questions to that. Well, actually, no, I don't want. I have so many questions, but let me just organize my thoughts here for a second. Take a deep breath. Okay, good. The first version where you were coming out of pocket, give me a ballpark. How much money did you need to spend in order to get that? If you feel comfortable sharing. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing, give me like a very broad ballpark.
Yeah, I would say like the first version. Um, so I spent $150,000 on the first version of the product
Yeah.
out of my own pocket
Mm-hmm.
over the course of 6-7 months
Mm-hmm.
before any kind of like venture capital or pre-seed like family and friends capital kicked in.
Mm-hmm.
So I was heavily invested before I asked anybody else to put anything in, and that was truly like a discovery level development where we even built. We started to build a few things just to test out markets and ideas before getting too deep. Right, we had to figure out if people would buy it. Right, so we were trying to build various prototypes, very basic things before we really went down this research path, which was September of last year. And then, September through January was basically all just off of my bankroll until the pre-seed capital kicked in, which was helpful. Right,
How much was the pre-seed?
1.1 million,
1.1.
1.14.
And you haven't raised any since.
Nope.
Um, you mentioned when you were fundraising. Tell me about the team that you had when you were going to market to raise money. What were the who were the key players? In other words, what roles
Yeah.
did they play?
I didn't really have a team in the earliest of days. This is the thing, right? Like we didn't
Mm-hmm.
really have a team. We really didn't have a product. We had like prototypes and we had slide decks on what we thought we could do, and that's changed materially since. We have a great engineering team on and offshore. We have our head of growth or founding AE, Greg, who's been helping to build a ton of pipeline and close a bunch of business. But yeah, we have a small team right now, three of us, and we're planning to keep it that way for the foreseeable future. But yeah, when I started having these conversations, it was really just me trying to find investment.
As you look, you mentioned obviously that there were some firms that you had no business, as you put it, getting in front of. Maybe you were too early. I forget exactly how you termed it, but and obviously York, IE, saw something that maybe others didn't. As you sit back and look back at some of those pitches that you made and some of those meetings that you had, what did you do? I see you like grinning
Yeah,
painfully. Don't this won't be that painful, I don't think. It.
yeah.
What did you learn from that? In other words, what are some of the things that you did right, with York, IE, maybe even some others that you had an opportunity with, and then what could you have done differently?
Yeah, so it was my first time being a founder, first time trying to come up with an idea, first time trying to go out on your own and you know uh, uh, do this whole thing and figure it all out the right way. And you know, so there's a million things I would have done differently
Mm,
in retrospect. But yeah, those conversations were just premature. They were the right conversations with the right people at the wrong time. Um,
and you say the wrong time for what reason? In other words, what? Let's say, for instance, if you were to meet them 6 months later, let's just say, right? As I don't know, just as an
yeah, I
arbitrary.
don't know if 6 months later is even the right answer, right? Like if you're like a legitimate seed stage VC, like there's just a profile that you're looking for, a certain amount of traction,
Mm-hmm.
a certain amount of maturity in the product, the team, revenue, the whole thing,
Yep.
right? So uh, you know, I went into it thinking like, hey, you know what? Like we can. I was seeing it in other companies where it's like, hey, you've done some stuff, uh, you have founder market fit, you're going to go build something and do it on like your operational reputation, right? Um, I was told by some folks that yeah, you could pull that off, like we can do this, and I listened, right? I was like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I wasn't planning to have these conversations yet. And then it turned out as I went and had those conversations that it was like, yeah, you're early. Yeah, you don't have the team perfectly figured out yet. Yeah, you don't have the product figured out yet. You don't, there's a lot of things that you don't have figured out yet. Like, why is this going to work? And it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, so I wouldn't do that again. Right.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to start with capital to extend the vision beyond my own bankroll, I would have started with family and friends. And I
Mm-hmm.
would have done like a proper like family and friends round before even soliciting VC. But like York was early to the action, early to the game, so it was great to have a VC partner. But like to go and then try and find other VCs to come in at that stage, it was just a little bit too early for folks that weren't as high conviction, um, generally speaking. So my advice to other people who are thinking about doing it is like reach out to me, number one, and I can give you like a longer form for it. But there are many ways that you can start with services, right? Like I could research accounts for you. I could go do this type of stuff for you, and really like muscle it out ahead of building the product. We kind of built some early stage prototypes across a few different areas of interest, and it was useful. We learned a lot. But I think we could have got to that point of the decision faster. And like we're talking about like months of improvement here. Like we got onto this idea in September. We started the company in May. Like, could we have probably figured it out by July versus waiting till? Yeah. Like, could we have avoided a bunch of those VC pitches, which sucked up a whole bunch of time when we knew we were too early? Yeah, totally. But we're
Mm.
not in that spot anymore, and I'm not really like thinking about that as much as I am thinking about what we're going to do this next time around. And we're going to have the numbers and the results to speak for it. You know,
The 1.14, did that come from, was that York or was that elsewhere?
York and family and friends.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay. You mentioned you're not planning on raising, or we're tell me that again. In other words, you don't need to, you said you don't need to raise again. Is that correct at this point?
yeah. We have well over a year of runway at this point in time, and we're just focused on signing up more customers.
Okay, so well, would that be the triggering event when you say, okay, it looks like we need to raise because we're coming to the end of that runway? Or is it that there's another, let's say, for instance, there's something that you want to, an opportunity that you want to take advantage of that you know that you're going to need more capital to do? In other words,
Yeah, so sales tech is a competitive space to be in. I think we're punching way above our weight right now. There are
Mhm,
other people that raised $5 million seeds off of reputation, but pre-product, pre anything that aren't even in the business anymore
mhm.
over the past year. And I think we're going to be in a really good spot because we're building from a point of customer focus. We're building from a point of product market fit is what we're desperately like in pursuit of every conversation that we're in. And when we are going to raise again, um, it's going to be when we have like traction that we're excited about pouring fuel onto, not in finding traction. If that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And then that would, when you say pouring fuel onto, that's really the go-to-market engine, right? That's the scale. Say, okay, let's find more
Yeah, it's a lot
customers
of
like,
things, and
yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily have to be like go to market in the classical sense. How I've built teams in the past.
Hmm.
We're opening up a free sign up really soon on our website. End of this month, early September, you'll have the ability to just sign up and start using WinRate so that you can test it for yourself. So there's ways to be I think a bit more efficient than just hiring the team. But we're going to be investing heavily in product and continuing to stay on the front foot as it relates to the product experience that we're delivering to folks. So we're going to actively invest in that as well as go to market.
Yeah, and I didn't want you to think I was leading the witness when I said put fuel on the go to market. I was actually thinking, because I'm a recruiter, of course, but I was thinking more of,
Hiring.
I don't know, like
Yeah,
buying
like
ads
yeah,
or
yeah,
SEO
yeah.
or,
We're gonna do all of that.
yeah.
We're gonna do a little bit of that in a very measured way and in a very methodical way. We're gonna experiment with a whole bunch of different ways of growing to try and find signal.
I was going to ask you about what the new website is, but I think you just mentioned it, of course, which is sounds to me like a free sign up, almost a freemium to start, and then converting into paid customers, or is it just what is it?
Yeah, so it's reflective of what we're actually doing, right? So
Yeah,
our
right.
current website is meeting prep, right? It's not talking about account research, it's not talking about sales materials or any of that stuff too.
Mm.
And we need to get that out there. We're also excited to offer the free sign up experience right from the website. I mean, obviously that's been a big focus of ours. Since January, we wanted to have that experience live on the website, but we didn't want to do it at a point where we weren't confident that people would have a good experience, right? So now we're ready to open up those floodgates and have more feedback come through directly. And we're also really excited about announcing our newest board member and some public-facing advisors that we're really excited about.
Do you want to announce any board members here?
Yeah, sure. So independent board member that's joining WinRate is David Cancel, former CEO
Wow.
and founder at Drift, former chief product officer at HubSpot. And we're really excited about that. And also Manny Medina, the founder and CEO of Paid.ai, former CEO and founder at Outreach. So he'll be a public facing advisor as well. And I've been learning so much from these two guys. It's been crazy. So over the past 8 months since we last spoke, or 7 months, it hasn't just been. I haven't focused at all about fundraising. This is like what we've been like talking about. Like, it hasn't been the focus whatsoever. It's only been on signing on customers and helping them get value in the product, and coaching from people like Manny and David is world class, priceless, and has been helping to develop my mindset in exponential ways.
That was going to be like one of my last questions, but I need to just, if I can, just go down this path a little bit, which is these two board members, Dave Cancel, obviously I know I've met, actually had him on a version of this podcast many years ago. Just genius. How did that come about? In other words, did you already have existing relationships with them? Were you introduced to them? Like, what does that process look like when you have somebody like these folks on your board?
Yeah. So listen, I've always been somebody that finds the mentors that they need to succeed, right? Like, this has just been like my MO from day one. So like Kyle York, the first time that I met Kyle was after cold outreach. Now he's an investor in WinRate, and we've been friends now for years, and business partners. So like Kyle, how did I hear about Kyle? I was on a treadmill, listening to a podcast in the morning, and it happened to be a podcast. It was David Cancel's podcast, and I didn't know David at this point in time, and he had Kyle on, and Kyle was just like so inspirational to me on so many levels. He had done 0 to 100 million with Dine, and he was talking about his experiences and like how hard it was, and he had to like go get a CAT scan on his brain at one point because he thought he was like, and they were like, no, it's just stress. Like, you're just like incredibly stressed. And I'm like, I know what that feels like. Like, I was like, this guy, he's done 0 to 100 million. There are only so many people that I can get access to that have this experience, like this true lived experience. So I reached out to Kyle at that point, cold. I was like, hey, Kyle, I just heard you were on a podcast. I would love to grab some time, blah blah blah, and the rest is history, right? And David's similar in many ways. Josh Allen, who was the CRO at Drift back in those days. Now he's at QuickBase, awesome guy. I reached out to him cold too. I was like, wow, this guy, he's doing the CRO stuff. I was director of sales at the time. Like, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to evolve, and you've got the stuff. And Josh was like, hey man, let's meet up. Let's get coffee. Like, I'd love to get to know you a little bit and see if I can help. And we've been in touch ever since, years and years and years. And what I've been thinking about, aspirational CEOs that I think are just authentic, brilliant, and innovative in my space and sales tech. David and Manny, where it's just like top of the mountain. And I was a customer of Outreach's for a long time. I sent Manny a couple DMs when he started getting paid going. We had a couple conversations, and the rest is history. Same thing with David. Reached out. I actually bumped into him at a industry event. It was a Glasswing Ventures had like an offsite last summer, and I bumped into him there and was talking to him, about WinRate, and he was like, "Hey, I'd love to try it when the beta is available, right?" So, and we just happened to cross paths there and stayed in touch since, and the rest is history.
That's fantastic. That's actually informative for sure, and great lessons for anyone who is trying to do something big. You certainly can't do it alone, and we talked about that last time in terms of first who, then what kind of thinking, or even first who, then how. It's to have the right people around you. Obviously, Kyle, of course, is instrumental in that. So that's fantastic. That's really, really helpful. Thank you for that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's why I always say it's like, reach out to the people that you like want to learn from. Reach out to the people who have done things that you want to do. Yeah. Like, so few people do actually go and reach out and put themselves out there, and that's where the magic happens. And I've found that when you do that, you're almost like self-selecting into being one of those few people, and
Yeah,
it
right.
really like stands out. And people that have had success want to help people that are talented and willing to work really hard to accomplish something similar, right? Like they want to
Yeah.
teach, coach, help, because nobody does it alone, and they certainly didn't in their own journeys. So it's been an operating method for me for years, and it's been great.
Had Josh Allen on this podcast as well, so he's a great guy. Another person I bumped into at our friendly Starbucks that we go to.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Josh is definitely a goat of growth. That's for sure.
yeah, he's fantastic. He's
He's
fantastic.
awesome. He's awesome. He's so good. So good.
One last question that comes to mind that I don't want to go without focusing on real quick is the website. Obviously, will be finished. I think you said at some point at the end of this month in August, right? You'll be able
Yeah.
to, or maybe September, you'll be able to roll it out. What does it look like in terms of how are you getting traffic to the site? Is there a campaign that you're going to be running? Is it like, tell me about the mechanics of actually getting eyeballs to the site?
Well, you're looking at one of them.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I've done a few podcasts. People that I like, know, and trust, and
Mhm.
I'm not doing any paid influencer campaigns or anything like that.
Mhm.
Our customers will help boost us. I'll make a few posts on LinkedIn, and some coordination. Of course, goes a long way with these types of things. But the idea is to put the website out there and continuously, post organic from LinkedIn, and then start to experiment with some ads and things like that, to get the folks that are looking for solutions that we possess, on the right page, and trying the product. So uh, uh, it's gonna be an interesting couple of weeks.
Well, promote it here. What's the website? And if people want to reach out to you after listening to this podcast as a potential mentor or to just gain more information from, how can they reach you?
Yeah, so just go to winrate .ai, and you'll find our new website. And you can just find me at Steve at winrate.ai, or just on LinkedIn. Steve at WinRate. Steve Travaglini.
Steve, Steve at WinRate, Steve Travaglini. Thank you for doing this. Every time we speak, I learn something new and get energized to go and run through a wall for what I'm trying to do. So thank you so much for that. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. More of these episodes will be coming out over the next weeks or so as we come into Q4 and get it going. So happy growing, everybody.
Thank you.